This is Darren Jensen coming to you from our broadcast studio here in Salt Lake City, Utah at our world headquarters. And today is the continuation of our Doctor Series. And as always, this is one of the series that I like the most because we get to speak with our medical professionals. These are some of the great minds in medicine today, and today, for sure, we definitely have one of those great minds. Before we get started, let me just welcome everybody and say that we're going to be showing or giving away some of our Curb. As you know, this goes great with our protein shakes, and take away several of those. So make sure that you put down your city, your state, country where applicable, and definitely your name. And anyway, we're hoping everybody's having a great day. This is a Wednesday, kind of an odd for us to start on a Wednesday, but I've been down in Mexico doing a Mexico tour and just returned home last night. So we thought we'd better get it started. Well, today, let me start out our Doctor Series with a disclaimer in that any statements today have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and these products are not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent disease. Today we have Dr. Deborah Viglione with us, and let me read you a little bit about Deborah's background because it's really fantastic. She's double boarded in both. Now, for those of you that aren't in medicine like me, so they always say board certified. So I'm assuming this is double boarded, so she's taken the test twice, and Deborah can clarify that for us in a moment. Double boarded in internal medicine and in anti-aging and regenerative medicine, so incredible degree there. She's been practicing for over 20 years and received her medical doctorate degree from the University of North Carolina. She served in the United States Air Force and is a veteran of the First Gulf War. She's extremely passionate about getting to the roots of patients' problems and making them well. She loves giving them their life and vitality back. Dr. Viglione serves on the Vantage Medical Advisory Board. And with that, let me welcome Dr. Viglione. Hey, welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
Well, first, let me say again, thank you for your service in the Air Force. How many years were you in the Air Force?
I was 11 total, 7 years active duty. The other 4 was when I was in school and was doing my summers as active duty.
Wonderful. And you talked about this double boarded. So does that mean you had to go out and take whatever test it is for internal medicine as well as anti-aging and regenerative medicine?
Yes, I did my internal medicine, obviously, years ago. But in 2012, I kind of joined up with this society called A4M, which is the American Academy for Anti-Aging and Regenerative Medicine. They were offering a stem cell fellowship. It was the first ever in the world, and decided to do that. And when I did that, that was about a year process to get certified in the stem cells, but you had to take another test to show that I knew all of the aspects of anti-aging. And I had really been self-taught because I had been practicing this for years. So I was able to just go take the exam and the orals without taking additional training. So what I did was an extra thing in stem cells.
Okay. And what state are you based in? I mean, where do you live? In which state?
I'm in Florida. We're in the Panhandle, the Pensacola area. So it's on Central Time. Everybody always thinks that we're Eastern Time, but we're not. We're really near Alabama. And they say that FLA stands for a blank word, Lower Alabama.
I used to, many years ago, I lived for a short period of time out in Destin, which is out, I think.
Just down the road.
Yeah. Now, as I read through your background here, where it says that you like getting to the root of a patient's problem and making them well. And I want to congratulate you from a doctor standpoint because one of the challenges that I run into is finding doctors that want to get to the root of the problem. That's always my question. What's causing this? I don't just want a pill. I want to know what's causing it and and really treating the root cause. And so finding a physician like you, I think, is rare.
It is. I mean, for years I practiced standard internal medicine, and I was very good at it. I could take, we call it U-box it, get all your numbers where they're supposed to be, right in the box where they're supposed to be, and I use drugs. And that's what all internists do. You know, drug for hypertension, actually it used to be 4 or 5 sometimes, you know, drug for the lipids, drug for the diabetes. That's what I did. And I was very good at it, and I got really bored. And it was interesting. I tell people part of my story is the military took us out to California, and I got pregnant, and we were at a small Edwards Air Force Base. It's kind of the Top Gun for the Air Force, and they wouldn't let you have an epidural. And so I had to go through natural childbirth, which I was not excited about doing at the time. But that launched me into learning a lot about natural medicine, herbs, and vitamins. When I came back to the East Coast, I sent somebody to the local health food store to get something for a cold and sore throat. After that, the health food store started sending all their, I call them earth children, to me. And they came and said, look, I'm not going to do a drug. You got to fix this problem naturally. And I was like, I don't know how. Well, they said, you better learn how. So that kind of launched my career. But I realized that there's always some reason that somebody's sick. That was probably in the early 90s, late 90s. And that's when fibromyalgia came up, chronic fatigue syndrome, the Gulf War illness, all these mysterious illnesses that were making people so ill. And all the conventional medicine did was give them antidepressants and tell them that they were sick and depressed. And that just launched me into a myriad of testing the body, testing the bowels, testing the blood in a different way, testing the hormones, and trying to figure out what was causing it, and then addressing it primarily nutritionally. And now I think it's interesting that we have a buzzword now, nutrigenomics, because I've been doing this for years before it had a name.
Well, what does we talked about? Well, so you've been doing it for years, and we talked about a little bit before that you're double boarded, and one of those is in anti-aging and regenerative medicine. What do anti-aging doctors do?
Well, basically, we're trying to retard the aging process. So the main mechanism, there's been a number of theories of aging through the years, but what is kind of settled out as the primary mechanism of aging is what we call oxidative stress. It's basically the free radicals in our body that are damaging our cells. And when you damage your cell, it doesn't work right, then the organ doesn't work right, the system doesn't, and the body eventually comes down with a disease and aging. So if we can address the oxidative stress, you know, we're really on our way. And we've been doing that through nutrition, detoxification, supplementing primarily with direct antioxidants for years until, of course, Dr. McCord's product came out with the Protandim, that is the only clinically proven product that will reduce oxidative stress to this degree. So that I was actually angry. I learned about this 3 years ago at the A4M conference and realized this had been around for 10 years. And I was upset because I was like, this is what I do every day. I've been looking for something that would significantly reduce oxidative stress. Why didn't I know about it? And I thank you that we have a CEO now that is going to help us tell the entire world about it. But that's basically what I was doing, was trying to reduce the mechanisms of aging disease. I look at hormones. I balance those. I look for nutrient deficiencies. I look for genetic weaknesses and then try to support them with nutrition, supplementation, try to restore people's mental, physical, sexual health. It all blends. You want to get everybody, get their vitality back, get their mojo back, get them back to feeling like they were young again. So, when you said that you're upset because you found out that Protandim had been out there for years and you hadn't known about it, it's kind of like with us at LifeVantage. I think we've been doing nutrigenomics and biohacking for years. There's just never really been a name for it. But now there's this movement around biohacking. What does that mean to you, and how do you incorporate some of those principles into your patient care? For me, biohacking is for me, it's getting to the root of the problem, digging in deeper, looking to see what pathway in the body is dysfunctional. And Natalie asked once, explain to people what a pathway is. Well, we have the Krebs cycle. That's the pathway that we make energy. We have NRF2. That's the pathway that creates the scavengers that eat up free radicals and glutathione. We have another pathway that I'm a specialist in. It's called methylation. That runs over 200 reactions in the body, and a lot of people have genetic weaknesses, so that doesn't run well. Well, if it doesn't run well, the body can't detox. The body can't assimilate nutrients, things that you need. So when you're biohacking, it's kind of like if I had a scanner, I wish I had where it would sit there and say, okay, this person has this weakness, this weakness, this weakness, and I can get in there and fine tune then the supplementation. And sometimes I do use drugs. I mean, I'm an integrative physician, but I prefer to do it naturally because I feel like the body can heal naturally and it can run if it's given the proper fuel to do it. So that's what biohacking is for me.
Okay. So we use biohacking a lot, the term in the company. Another term that we use all the time is nutrigenomics. How do you use nutrigenomics in your practice?
Okay, well, again, I'm going to bring up the methylation pathway because that is a big one. I had no idea how many people, they say 60% in our country may have one genetic defect, but now the more I dig deeper, I think everybody has multiple ones, and it runs so many things in our body. But when that you have that, you need way more B12 than the average person. It's not the kind of B12 that you can just readily find. You have to have more folate. So you have to have particular nutrients then to run that pathway. So that's using nutrigenomics in that manner. The NRF1 and 2 are also using it because you're turning a DNA switch on, with the nutrients that we have that then turns a pathway on in our body that does wonderful things.
So with that, I know that nutritional supplementation is probably a big part, and you've talked a little bit about this. What's the role of nutritional supplementation in your practice, and how does Protandim and maybe some of the other LifeVantage products fit into that, what you recommend? Yeah.
Prior to becoming a distributor for LifeVantage or knowing about the products, I typically sent people out with 20 to 30 supplements, trying to correct their nutrient deficiencies and really trying to reduce oxidative stress, adrenal dysfunction, fatigue, brain fog. And I was successful, but I would say if I look back, I was 50% successful. Well, now I'm 95% successful with the new treatment I'm doing for methylation and reducing oxidative stress. I've reduced even the sickest patients down to, usually less than 10 supplements. It depends on how well you want to be and how much you want to do. But when you take the activated stack, you are dealing with, I'd say, 3/4 or more of what the body needs. You're addressing the gut health, which your immune system, 80% of it starts in the gut. 80% of the neurotransmitters are made in the gut, and then they are shunted to the brain. So that's a big deal. You treat the gut, and then you treat the primary mechanism of aging and disease, which is oxidative stress. And the latest thing that we're hearing about at our conference is probably the last 2 or 3 years. They've had multiple experts coming in talking about mitochondrial dysfunction in causing disease, but also being the primary mechanism of cancer formation. So when I found out that we had a gene activator that would make our mitochondria healthier, that's huge. Absolutely huge. So you're addressing so much there that it's just been so fun for me to watch the body heal. And when I add that and methylation support, I'm there, and the patients just get better. Doesn't matter what's wrong.
Well, then mission accomplished on from our standpoint. Then
it's awesome.
Now, I think as we talked before, I thought you mentioned that you have a weight loss clinic, or you do something with weight loss. Could you talk a little bit about that, and maybe how you use the physique products in that practice?
Great. Yes, I actually inherited a weight loss clinic that was all pharmaceutical based, diet pills that raise your metabolism up. They're stimulants. But the problem is with those, they don't work long term. They may keep you awake, but your body gets kind of used to them and you don't continue to lose weight. They're a great aid, but it's not the answer. I do use some other pharmaceuticals that help with insulin resistance initially to get people going. But when we came out with the physique regimen, what was that, about 2 years ago, I think, it's given me a great tool because they've been talking, again, for years, your gut health is so important. If you do not get the gut straightened out, you will not be able to maintain a healthy weight. You have to have the good bacterial balance in your intestine. I've used probiotics. I'm not going to tell you how long I've been practicing medicine, but I have never had one that has worked as well as this one. I've never had patients come in and say, that stuff is amazing. I have to have it. Look at my stomach. It's flat again. I buy so much of it and it just sells. It is unbelievable. I thank you, Dr. Fifi. You hit on a winner. I think it's that delayed release technology and the Wellmune, the beta glucan that's in it that has made such a difference. But so I address the gut health and the fat burn. Love this stuff. It's got clinically proven ingredients that target the fat. As you get older, I see so many people in menopause, andropause, middle age that develop that gut, and it is so hard to move the fat. You go on a weight loss program, you lose muscle, you want to lose fat. This really assists. And personally, I lost 6% body fat in 6 months just taking this. Nothing changed about my diet or exercise. I was blown away. And it gives you like a little kick, even like in the afternoon. I don't know if it's the green coffee bean, but it's not like a stimulant kick. I don't know, it's nice. I like it. But most of my weight loss patients go on this and the ProBio, they love it.
Thank you. At one of our recent Elite Academies, I was talking to some of the leaders and they said, in the physique line, we don't hear much about curb, and we've now added that as a permanent part of our regimen so that you can buy it. It was originally kind of one of those limited time offers, but I'll just remind everybody that we're giving away curb today too. So put down your name, city, state, country where applicable, and we'll put you into the drawing for them. But how could you, part of what they said is we don't hear as much about it. Can you kind of describe how curb works and how you incorporate that into your physique program?
Right. It's kind of interesting that the active ingredient there is Garcinia cambogia, and that was very popular in the 90s. And then it just sort of kind of went by the wayside. You didn't hear a lot about it. And then there's been a resurgence. There's been some movie stars that publicly went forward and said that really helped them lose weight. But it basically blocks carbohydrate absorption. And most of the weight loss regimens now are low carb or very low carb, keto diet. That's really kind of in vogue right now. I believe that we're realizing Dr. Atkins' work, that was probably about 10, 15 years ago, the Atkins diet. Everybody thought that low fat was the way to control your cholesterol, and he came out with a high fat, high protein diet, low carb, and lo and behold, we found out that he's a cardiologist, that there was less heart disease and cholesterol was lower on that diet than the low fat diet. So we have found as time goes on that a low carb diet is very healthy. And this is perfect for those carb addicts that just can't seem to get away from it. It will at least block some of what you're putting in your body. And the nicest thing about it is it's chocolate flavored. So you can have your chocolate without feeling guilty. So it's designed to go with the protein shake that we have, and you can mix it with that and get a chocolate flavored. That's our protein shake is vanilla, but you can add that chocolate for the chocolate lovers. I know I'm one of them. So it's great flavored and it's great stuff. It really works.
Well, thank you for that. Now, it seems like throughout all your practices, you seem to hit on every single one of the LifeVantage products. And I think you have a cosmetic practice or something dealing with cosmetics. How do you incorporate the True Science line into that? And what type of results are you seeing with the True Science products?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting story because when I did get involved with Life Vantage, I was very wary of network marketing, multi-level companies from previous experience with ones. And I said, okay, you've got a winner with ProTandem, but I know you guys have to have a minimum every month. You got an auto ship you got to do. And so I figured the company just came up with something so that people had something else to buy. And I had used many, many different skincare regimens in my office and was currently really excited about a stem cell type skin regimen that I was using. So I was not about to change to True Science. Well, Dr. Shaw McKee would not let it die. She kept bothering me. Have you tried it yet? Have you tried it yet? Have you tried it yet? Finally, I said, to get her off my back, I'll try it. Within 4 days of using it on my skin, patients started to comment. 1 month into it, I saw a patient. She walked in. She goes, oh, my gosh, what did you do to your face? I saw you a month ago. Don't lie to me. You've done something. I want to know what you did. And so I went and grabbed the bottle, and I said, well, I've been using this stuff. That was the first I looked at it, paid any attention to it. Then I started looking at the research and the photos, particularly the one of Gordon Dickey. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Started recommending it to patients, and I've never looked back. I will never use another supplement or another skincare regimen unless Dr. Fifi improves upon this one. It has been remarkable.
Well, thank you. And boy, our half an hour went by very quickly. And I know that I do want to thank you for taking the time. I know that you're in the middle of seeing patients. For those of you out there, she was telling me that Deborah said that she was locking the door. They had the phones off. They're trying to hide so that they could make it through this half-hour period. But I know that you're very busy, and thank you for the time that you set aside for us to share some of these incredible kind of experiences that you've had with the product.
You're welcome. I'm just excited to be part of a company that's really credible and believes in peer-reviewed real science and wants to lead the forefront in the world of nutrigenomics. I mean, that's where I am, and I can't wait to see what we come up with next.
Well, we've got some really cool things in the hopper. So
Right.
Anyway, well, thank you, Deborah, for your time, and for everyone out there, thank you for joining us today. Remember to put your name, city, state, and country where applicable to get into the drawing for the curb. Also tomorrow, a reminder that we have our Leaders series will continue at 11:30 a.m. and I'll be interviewing Elite Pro 8 Sharice Matthews, so that should be a really good one. Anyway, again, Dr. Viglione, thank you very much for joining us today. And if you want to just remain on for just a second, everybody else, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.